Flame Mim stage is pretty awesome.
So who wants to start us off? Let's go. Let's explain what we're doing.
Okay, so look at these JPEGs. Oh, it's Josh Takai, never mind.
Not it.
Not it.
Not it.
Alright, fine. Every year, of all 2 years that we've done, that we've had the privilege of doing this, we've done an end of the year podcast where we talk about all the games that came out this year that we played and all the major events that happened in the gaming world and all kinds of stuff. And we're doing that again this year because it's a
Does it still count as end of the year?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes. Kyle, why you gotta be like that, man?
I'm just asking because I'm sure it's a question on people's minds when it's clearly no longer 2011.
Shut the fuck up. It's still.
Are you sure?
Still.
Anyway, we're going to be talking about all the games that came out this year. We're going to debate about them. We're going to talk about what we liked about them. It's going to be great. This is always one of the best things we do every year. I always look forward to it. And so, yeah, that's what we're doing. Where are we starting, guys?
Well, let's start as early as we can remember. Ghost Trick was February, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was early, according to this list.
Yeah,
Alright, whatever. Start with Ghost Trick. Matt
Yeah,
loves it.
I wanted to
Matt's-
start with Ghost Trick.
It's
It's a
Matt's game of
classic.
the year.
It's a great. So who wants to start with Ghost
What do
Trick?
you guys
It's his game of the year because he hasn't played other games that came out this year, but yeah.
It's a great game. I'm sure it'll be. It's a modern classic.
It is really good.
It's an absolute crime that Capcom thinks that it attributed to their financial losses or this year or whatever.
Actually, I didn't
Because
have...
Ghost Trick was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
It
Ghost
is.
Trick's an amazing game. It was the swan song for the DS. Okay, like obviously, you know, there was Kirby and some other stuff. Pokemon came out, but like beyond that, Ghost Trick really blew me away. I'm not one to really be too heavily into like text-based adventure games. Like I've played a few of them. I've played my fair share, but like I'm not a huge fan of them. But Ghost Trick, it really stood out to me. The story was great, the characters were great, the gameplay felt really good, even though it wasn't very deep. Once you beat it, you pretty much knew how to do everything in the entire game. It's just, I really connected to the characters, I really connected to everything about it, like Missile and Sissel, and
Missile and Sissel.
Jowd, yeah. He's the best character. Him and Cabanella. And Missile. All of them, they're all great.
Lynn is great.
The whole
They're all
cast,
great.
the whole cast is great. There's nothing like bad about the entire
Yeah.
game.
Yet, characters from this game are top priority of possible Halloween costumes for me next year.
I think the music's really good. That's my boy Masakazu Sugimori from the Phoenix Wright game, the first one. And Beautiful Joe.
I'm
Nice.
surprised nobody has mentioned how amazing it looks.
Yes.
It
Oh, yeah,
looks-
yes,
I was-
actually, yeah.
Or-
What
I
is
was
it?
about-
Buttery smooth animation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the sprites are gorgeous, and the animations especially.
Yeah, I was actually, this is like a bit self-indulgent, but I was writing something about just graphics and games in general, and I was comparing Ghost Trick to Phoenix Wright, where Phoenix Wright has like very still, static images with like full of expression, which is how you get to love the characters, where you see them do all these wacky stuff, and it helps push the game along. When you see, you know, Edgeworth, Recoil, and Fear, it's, you know, it's a really big motivator for you to keep going. And in Ghost Trick, it's sort of the opposite, where I don't know if you're going to wish this, but if you just walk straight out of the door, then you can get through that locked door at the start. It's a little trick from Zelda 1. But anyway, Ghost Trick, the animations are so smooth that even though the sprites are kind of simple, even like the most minor characters, like the sniper rifle guy at the very start of the game, is like a really fluid character just because he has such great animation.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of character in just the way that they move, their postures, and their body language and stuff.
Which isn't something that video games often delve into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dancing security guards are a great example of that.
Yeah.
The animations are completely ridiculous, but they're so beautiful, and they're like one of my favorite parts of that whole game is just watching these two like interact with each other. Like even the
Yeah.
minor characters in that game are great. And
One one of my favorite animations in the whole game is just like that other guard just like turning his chair around, his like swivel chair. That's just like the simplest thing. It's not something that you would, if you were watching like a movie or something, and somebody just turned their chair around, you wouldn't pay it a second thought. But it, like in
Or you
Ghost
think
Trick,
it's super cheesy.
but in Ghost
Yeah.
Trick with these like really nice sprites and stuff, the dude turns his chair around, and you're like, wow, that looks really cool. Or at least I was.
Yeah. And I've just destroyed the chat with my giant paragraph. I apologize for that.
That's right. Yeah. Ghost Trick, definitely one of the best games of the year. One of the best games for the DS. It was number 5 on my list, I believe. It was a great game. Definitely, if you haven't checked it out, please do. It didn't sell well at all. We'll never get a sequel. Capcom, personally, as Kyle already mentioned, Capcom blamed that game specifically for the like downfall of their sales earlier this year, and like that's terrible. Like,
It's a crime.
Yes.
you could probably get it on Amazon right now for like $15. Do it if you have the money. Please buy this game. Like even if you've played it, buy it for somebody else who'll enjoy it. I bought it for Ricky, okay, because he needed to play it. All right, so it's.
I'm very glad I did, because it was
Yeah. I
quite
think
a-
it's one of the best games on the DS.
It's one of. Here's before we move on. There's something I forgot on that list that I really think you guys should talk about. 999 came out at the end of last year, but we didn't talk about it in the last podcast. Do you guys want to do that now?
Yeah, sure.
We can.
We can, because coincidentally, Don and I bought that one for Ricky.
Yeah, I'm broke, and I have really terrific friends, so that's that.
Well, I'm just saying because it came out at the end of last year, probably after we did the podcast. Nobody got it until early this year, so I
Because I
think.
didn't hear about it until 2011, and I'm really glad I played 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, for its full title, for those of you that are wondering.
Yep.
Because it's a great text-based puzzle story.
It's really terrific. The thing that I was sort of weirded out by at first, but I grew to really like it, was like there's a lot of quote-unquote visual novel games on the DS. There's, Ghost
This
Trick.
takes visual novel to its
The
literal
entire-
sense. This one's got a lot of text, I'll admit. I'll openly admit.
Thanks for that, Kyle. But what? Yeah, I mean, there's this one. It reads like a novel. Like they straight up. It's like, so and so said blank blank blank, and Junpei thought this, and chills ran down his spine. Like it reads more like a novel than something like Phoenix Wright or Hotel Dusk, where like you see the characters talking on screen, but it's the only text is really their dialogue. There's not really a narrator. But I grew to really appreciate that in 999, because they get away with so much more that way. Like they can show less by having you read more about it, and especially like there's really graphic like descriptions of like dead bodies and stuff, and like that's the sort of thing that they could easily have just rendered on the screen for you to look at, and
I died.
but there's something just more potent about it
When you have to imagine it.
yeah exactly.
Especially since what you're describing, actually, you aren't expecting it, but it eventually becomes wildly important
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say about 999. I think it's a terrific game. I'm a sucker for the resurgence of point-and-click adventure games that's been on the DS. I think all of them that I've played are great, and I think 999 is one of the best of them.
Yeah. I wanted to say that, like, I originally played, like, the demo that they had on the website, and I was like, oh, man, this is awesome, dude. But then I didn't really play it at first. And then it was only until after, like, Kyle got into it, I was like, alright, you know what, I'll get into it, too. And I don't regret it, because it was a great game. The characters were neat. And although I don't really like the ending too much.
The ending is weird, I'll admit, but that's
The ending-
because there's a huge backstory that you can get into online, and I think that if you have to expand to 2 forms of medium, it's weird. I still appreciate the game for what it is, and for the gameplay, and for the story that it gave. I love it, and I can't wait for the sequel, which comes out this year. And I hope I hope so bad they translate it to English so I don't have to do anything weird to get it.
Well, that's another thing. Like Ricky was talking about how like the description and stuff. I wanted to talk about how like Axis did a really good job of translating the game.
It is
like
excellent.
I was actually dogging on Axis a little bit before we started doing the podcast about their new game because they weren't or they implied that they weren't translating the new 999 sequel, but the translation in 999 is fantastic.
It is.
Like, yeah.
It's localized very well. The characters are very three-dimensional, and their dialogue is really insightful and funny and well-written.
Right.
Excellent game.
Great game.
Yeah. I think we've about covered it.
Nice. And you beat the boss.
I did. Thanks for noticing.
Nice.
Wow,
Finally
first boss
found out
already.
that you had to hit him in the head and not just...
I knew I had to hit him on the bed. On the bed. I knew I had to hit him on
the
head.
bed. Hit him on the bed.
I knew I had to hit him on the head. I'm terrible at video games. Anyway, go on to the next game. We're not supposed to be talking about me playing this game.
Oh, okay.
You've got Mario Sports Mix written here.
Oh, I didn't play that, so if anybody wants to mention it, go ahead.
You can just talk about it really briefly. I
missed it.
I think it's fun. Like, I don't think it's any worse than like Mario Power Tennis or Mario Hoops on the DS. Which this game is by Square, so it's actually like the basketball in the game is exactly like what was in Mario Hoops. Which is, I think it's fun. I don't know that I would pay, full retail price for it. I'm not saying like steal it or whatever. I'm just saying, if you find it
used.
If you buy it used or really cheap on Amazon or if as a gift, like I think it's worth checking out. It's some good fun. I think the characters are you have to do way too much to unlock them, and there's a lot of secret characters, like all the Final Fantasy, Moogle and White Mage and stuff. You have to do so much to get them that by the time I unlocked like Mog and whatever the next one was, I was burned out on the game. You know what I mean? That was, I don't know. That's it. There's not a whole lot of meat to it. It's a fun multiplayer game if you've got people to play it with. And I understand there's Wi-Fi, which kind of blew my mind a little when I first learned that. But, it was alright. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't magnificent or anything.
I thought it was alright. I think it's cool that you could fight Behemoth or whatever. That was neat.
Yeah, that was cool. And a little tournament mode where there's hidden paths and stuff. That was kind of a neat idea. It was alright.
Yeah.
Anyway.
On to the next one.
Yeah.
Up next we have Capcom.
The fuck?
Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That's right, the superheroes are all here.
Going in.
So says the guy when you start it
full
up.
price for a game you already have.
And I did. I bought both the fucking games at full price. I'm a chump.
Why?
I don't
If I
even.
wanted that Marvel, baby.
Well, I did too, actually.
They got you by the balls, man. You
Yeah.
really want to play as Phoenix Wright and Strider and Rocket Raccoon, so they're like, hey, buy the game again. Tough luck.
I went to buy the game again, so I stopped getting bullied by Phoenix players.
You guys are gonna have to talk about it. I don't have any of the systems it came out on.
I haven't actually played Ultimate Marvel. I still have.
It's pretty sweet. Got Nemesis, got Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
Got Hawkeye. Hawkeye's pretty good.
I love
Got Wesker. Wesker's pretty cool.
Wesker was in the first one.
Yeah, but he's bad now.
Wasn't he good to begin with?
Yeah, but now he's the best.
You
He was the
are
best
perfect.
already, but now he's super best.
We'll talk about it. Tell us
Okay.
what's exciting.
Okay, so they got this brand new mode. It's called if you don't pick Wesker, you lose mode. And it's also known as rank battle, so... No, okay, so Marvel... Actually, did Marvel 3 come out this year as well, regular?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, okay, so we can sort of double dose. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was 10 years old, and it was still getting played a hell of a lot by, hardcore fighting game players. So Capcom decided, let's milk these guys for a little bit of money. And so out came Marvel 3, and it was fun. Everyone liked it, but it wasn't perfect. It was missing a couple characters that some people wanted to see. Had a couple balance issues here and there.
There were a lot of
So
features missing too.
Yeah, a lot of features. Some quite crucial features like spectating and online modes was not there for some strange reason.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of stuff that people wanted. So they thought, 8 months down the line, when Marvel 3's come out, people are glitching out. There's fucking one-hit kill combos with every character. It's madness. It's pure unadulterated madness. So then they think, all right, they bought Marvel 3. They're enjoying this. Let's milk them for a little bit more money. Let's release Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And to be fair, they added a whole bunch of new characters and shit, but really it's just what Marvel 3 should have been.
Yeah.
And that being said, it's a dang good fighter. It's easy to pick up and play, and well, for a fighting game at least, you still have to know your shit. But it's easy to not be a total scrub in Marvel compared to other fighting games.
Even though I'm still a total scrub.
Yeah.
Well, while we're at it, we should make mention that Mega Man's not in the game.
Oh yeah.
However,
Wow.
Mega Man X is though it's an alternate costume for Zero. That's neat.
This has been
and
years.
Frank West.
It's not a game, but the next thing we'll talk about is Mega Man.
Mega Man.
Anyways, continue.
Okay. I think that's pretty much all you can say about Marvel. It's the most hype fighting game of all time.
Yeah.
And for no real reason, really, because there's instant win buttons. There's a huge comeback mechanic. There's one-hit kill combos. It really doesn't lend itself to being a game that will get the crowd excited because it's sort of designed not to do that. It's oh, you're winning. Well then, nope. You push 4 buttons at one time, and now you win. Yay!
Is Marvel
It's still
3 or Marvel 2?
Marvel 3.
Okay.
He's talking about X Factor.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
But people just go mad for it. You see Justin Wong come back with Akuma. Sure, he's using X Factor, but still motherfuckers go nuts, and that's partly what makes fighting games so great. It's just the people who play them are just always fucking insane.
That is a pretty long, enduring truth of competitive video gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was the game I most looked forward to this year before the year started. Little did I know they were gonna release a second one the same year.
Yeah.
Hey, we were talking about Marvel vs. Capcom in the last podcast. The last end of the year podcast, we were just oh man, can't wait for Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yeah, well, 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
And then the second one was, 8 months in the making, so...
Not even.
Mm.
It was
Because the game was already made.
I looked forward.
Yeah.
I looked forward to it a lot, and it was good, but they left out a lot of shit. I was personally upset that I couldn't just fight computers because I don't have friends.
Mm.
I don't think. I think you still can't in Ultimate.
Well, that's kind of bad.
I've tried. Yeah.
Oh, you can in the Heroes and Heralds mode.
Yeah, but then you can't fight real people in Heroes and Heralds mode.
Offline.
Yeah. It's just swings and roundabouts for that game.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably talk about Mortal Kombat next.
Yeah, while we're on the subject of fighters.
That's actually a game with features.
Yeah.
Fighting game with features.
And it's another sort of big resurgence. 2011 has been a good few games, a good few series that have sort of lost their way, getting reborn, so to speak, with Mortal Kombat for one, and we can talk about some multiplayer.
Yep.
Kid Icarus was soon, so...
Yeah, Kid Icarus is soon. There's a Rayman as well, but anyway, Mortal Kombat, the last few Mortal Kombat games, no one likes them. They're all bad. No one takes them seriously. A new Mortal Kombat game comes out, no one cares. But then they said, no, we're going to make it a real game. It's going to be actual, factual, enjoyable playing experience. And it is, as much as I played, which admittedly isn't a lot.
I really enjoyed versus DC. I mean, it was stupid and ridiculous, but I kind of expected that,
Uh-huh.
Mm.
I thought the fighting mechanics were fun. I thought they were fine, I thought it was fun. And I haven't played the new one, but I really have a lot of respect for, like you've said, it's very full of features, and they did genuine DLC characters, not just
Yes.
like on the disc bullshit like Capcom does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I have a lot of respect for that, and I think that's, in a way, without me having even played it, in a way that's sort of makes it a better game. But
Yes. And it has the best story mode in any fighting game ever, which every single fighting game in the world after Mortal Kombat should hope to emulate. Because it actually has a story with proper cutscenes and character progression, and it's just like the fucking best. I don't know why when Mortal Kombat didn't come out, everybody didn't just point to the story mode and go, "Holy shit!" Because I don't know if I want to say it's the best thing about the game because it's a single player story mode in a fucking competitive multiplayer fighting game, but it's
well done.
It's extremely well done, especially since story modes in fighting games usually just mean you play an arcade mode and there's a cutscene at the start and the end. This is like an actual story mode that runs you through all the characters. It teaches you how to play the game, has boss fights in a fighting game. I don't even know how that works, but it's just awesome. And like, it's just full of stuff like that. You've got like the challenge tower and the necropolis, I think it's cool, where you can unlock new stuff. It's just absolutely exploding with content.
Isn't it like a celebration of all the Mortal Kombat games? Like, doesn't it like tell the story of all of them?
Yeah. It goes through like, I don't quote me, but I think it's like the first 3 Mortal Kombat games. It sort of retells the story.
That's neato.
So
that's pretty
Yeah.
sick, yeah.
it is pretty sick.
Gotta give props.
Yes.
Where props are due.
I just, the only thing is that, like, when you compare, like, anything that Capcom's ever put out to Mortal Kombat, I just care about the characters so much less. Like, never mind Marvel vs. Capcom, even just regular old Street Fighter, like, I just care about the characters way more. You know, I just find them all so much more interesting than any of the characters in Mortal Kombat. So,
Yeah.
maybe that's just me being...
No, I think that because Mortal Kombat sort of takes that darker turn, there's less. I don't want to say there's less personality in the characters, but they're less. I don't want to say stereotypical, but Street Fighter characters are essentially just stereotypes of the game.
That's exactly, yeah.
But like that's not to say Mortal Kombat doesn't have like good characters. It's got some funny dudes and some real badasses and smoking hot chicks and recolored ninjas. It's got all you need to make a great game, but I don't know. I guess you're right.
I just don't think they have the charm. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's an implaceable thing, It's not to say that they're not fleshed out as well, or that they're just not as interesting. I just don't find them as charming. I don't want to invest myself in them as much. But
They're just they're I don't know. I think it's because they're grittier, personally,
Yeah,
and that half of them are the same character.
You can't imagine Ken like ripping someone's spine out, so
yeah.
you don't have to imagine Ken ripping someone's spine out, I guess.
Nope.
There was a new King of Fighters game, but who cares? There's probably a new Blaze Blue, but who gives a shit? It's Marvel, baby! And Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. And Street
Any other
Fighter
fighting games come out?
Arcade Edition 2012.
Okay, I haven't played 2012 yet.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on it, because they buffed Cody, but I'm just like, I can't bother to put it in.
Whatever.
That's Capcom for you. Just re-release the same game every so often.
Yep. They've been doing that since the Super Nintendo, man.
Yep.
There were like 8 Street Fighter 2s.
Gets them paid.
Yeah.
Make
Hard
it
to
Alright.
fault them for continuing to do something that works.
That's what they've been doing since the 90s. Yeah.
I really don't want this to be like turned into a fuck Capcom podcast.
They deserve it, but
I know. And
I think we should try to remain, somewhat
On
professional about it. Yeah.
they're so bottom tier, man.
So how about that Mega Man Legends 3, huh?
Yeah.
That came out this year.
Or was going to. Actually, we have a Let's Play of it. So.
Sad face.
I was reading this thread on NeoGAF, and it was about like, could like Mega Man have been relevant like Mario is for Nintendo if Capcom actually did that or whatever? And some guy actually brought up this good point that Capcom aims for short-term profit, whereas like other companies don't.
Yeah.
They're more for like long-term.
Like Nintendo will put out one new Mario game every couple of years.
Right.
And it'll be a real great one. While Capcom, you know, you'll have Mega Man 9, and then the next year is Mega Man 10, and they're pretty good, but you know, they're no Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
Right. They just like to release the same game multiple times in a year, or I guess pretty often.
Yeah.
More often than like Nintendo releasing Mario games. Mainly
More often than they should.
Yeah.
That's terrible, you know, like stuff like Guitar Hero, that franchise got milked. I'm gonna say it,
Yeah.
They fucking
And it
they call it
died.
milk.
Yeah, they looked it literally to death.
Yeah.
But they're fucking still making Street Fighters, so joke's on us. Speaking of which, anyone has any comments on Super Street Fighter 4 3D edition?
I like it.
Pretty good. It was
Yeah.
Street Fighter. Yeah.
It was the launch title. It was the launch title.
The only one that I cared about, yeah. I think it's really good. Obviously, it's sort of dumbed down, you know, by necessity. But I think it plays great. I sunk hours into it, both at college and online, just playing with random people or my friends, you know. I think it's a really solid fighting experience on the 3DS. I sort of have mixed feelings about like the whole touchscreen thing, because like it's really useful and really handy, but at the same time, characters like Blanca and Guile just, you know, pick them to win with the touchscreen pretty much. Anytime you see somebody do a sonic boom while walking forward, you know you're playing against a scrub. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty well. I'm not a elitist fighter, so I'm not a high-level player or anything, but I feel like it's pretty well balanced to where even if you're playing against, like, a couple of times when I would be online with random people, I would manage to get a few wins off on the guy who was spamming with Guile. You know, I feel like it's put together relatively well enough so that it's not completely over the top broken just by using the touchscreen. I mean, it definitely gives you a leg up.
Yeah, it gives you an advantage. There's no denying that, man.
I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't help a lot, because it does. But I feel like it doesn't completely unbalance and wreck the game. You know?
Yeah.
There is an option though for you to like play against only people who use the pro mode or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I think that was a good decision.
Good gesture on their part.
Yeah. I wanted to say, like, even though they dumbed down like the backgrounds or stuff like that, but overall, the core gameplay, it was essentially the same. Like,
yeah, I think it's very much intact, and everybody's still got 2 ultras. You know, it's not like they didn't just cut it down. This isn't vanilla Street Fighter. It's got all the innovations, all the new costumes and stuff, and new ultras that Super Street Fighter 4 added. They didn't have to cut any of that stuff. I think they did a really good job of putting that on a handheld console. You know,
Handheld.
Yeah, it's like the Street Fighters on like Game Boy Advance, where they had to literally super dumb it
Get rid
down
of 2
because
buttons.
of
Well, up until like the
DS.
DS and the PSP, like there's no reason to put a fighting game on handheld. Like they're terrible.
Yeah.
There's no way. They only had 2 buttons.
Yeah, right, like Sonic Battle.
Yeah, like I just reviewed Sonic Battle, and like that game has no business being on a fucking handheld. I'm sorry, but fighting games don't belong on handhelds, and like the 3DS is finally proving that they can work. And Street Fighter was a step in the right direction. I didn't play Dead or Alive, but I'm assuming it at least played okay.
That's one of the other huge innovations that made Street Fighter 3D really cool, was that the little circle pad is so awesome and so responsive. Now, I don't know how much of this was them just dumbing it down so that it was easier to do on the 3DS, or if it was just that the circle pad was more conductive to it. But like on Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox, I could very rarely do Zangief's like whatever.
Spinning Pile Driver.
Yeah, like
SPD.
I know the combination. I know how to do it. I'm just not skilled enough to bust it out like on the fly whenever I need it to happen. Because it's tough. You have to do a full circle, But like I can do that without fail on the 3DS with the little slider pad. And like I said, I don't know. That might just be because they dumbed it down. They made it more responsive on purpose so that it was easier for the kiddies. That might be true, but I don't know. But I feel like, with like Ultimate Marvel, Capcom said they wanted it to be more about like strategy than just raw input, just being able to push buttons better than the other guy. And I think that's the way to go. And I think Street Fighter 3D on the 3DS is a good example of that, in part because of the touchscreen, but also just because the controls feel really tight and responsive, that it's very easy to bust out whatever move you're trying to do, even without use of the touchscreen,
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we got the DLC on 3D edition, though.
What,
Yeah, like-
a...
Arcade
Yeah.
and stuff.
Aren't they making
Additional characters and
stuff available next year, or this year, I guess, 2012? Like, they're
yeah,
starting
but I don't think
download
Capcom
content.
is like, no, it's not worth it. I'm
They
probably
probably
thinking
won't
that.
go back.
Well, they can always, and I'm sure they will, just re-release the game
Yeah.
on 3D with Yun and Yang.
Yep.
And Oni, and
Yeah,
even
but they'll
And
keep
maybe
it...
additional characters.
Oh, you really?
Yeah, like maybe we'll, I don't know, put in characters from Street Fighter Cross Tekken because they have assets for that.
Ah, maybe. Oh, that would be cool.
That would be neat.
Judo.
That would be neat.